This past weekend, I had the great pleasure of visiting April's Aquarium in Vancouver, British Columbia. Staff let me loose with my camera, and I found some fish that I really want right away. Paraotocinclus heroldi is a tiny nano otocinclus that I have to have. Looks like a peppermint bristlenose, but just teeny tiny. Another autocynclus species that I want is the zebra autocynclus. I hadn't seen these before. They're a little bit bigger, but very strikingly patterned. Super nice fish. Another fish in that same row of tanks was the zodiac loach. They have really mesmerizing markings on their sides. They'd make a great addition to any tank. I was pretty impressed with these guys. The more I watched them, the more mesmerized I was. Corydoras zeusi is a fish that I've seen pictures of on the internet, but wasn't overly impressed until I seen them in person. And they are super cool. They have a really long nose, orange markings on their fins, and a flagtail with neat markings on their sides. Just another Cory that I want. Corydoras atropersonatus also fits into that category. Lots of yellow on them, really unusual for a Corydoras. The purple pencilfish, just a gorgeous fish. I hadn't seen these in person before, but they're starting to make the rounds through wholesalers, and definitely a fish that I want to keep. These ones were in fantastic shape. They were looking great, really heavy bodied and active and sprightly. This little apistogramma really caught my eye. I think it's apistogramma trifasciatus, but I never wrote down what was on the tank because I thought I knew it for sure. But this little male here was in just fantastic shape. Has really nice dorsal rays on him, and his color is quite striking. A fish I would purchase if I didn't have to bring it back on the plane. Uh, Another real showstopper epistogramma that was there is Epistogramma wilhelmi. It is a species I've never seen before, but these guys were displaying all the time, and it wasn't too hard to get video of them. Quite a spectacular species that I would love to keep in the future. Um, just gorgeous. That male is just flaring right out. Super nice. Another nice species of apistogramma is benchai. It's pretty commonly available now. I've seen them before, but they have a nice, cool barred pattern to them. And these young fish were in great shape. Pistogramma borelli kind of gotten into a few more commons now, but they were also really nice fish. The Tecanotetra is a new species to the hobby, but it's quite striking, fairly pricey these days. I want them for sure, but I just don't have enough room in my tanks right now. Otherwise, I'd pick up a school of 10 or 15 of these guys. They just have a really different pattern to them than what you'd usually see in most tetras. Empire gudgeon, they had a number of them, and they're a really cool fish too. They caught my eye as well while I was there. This guy, though, I'd never seen before. Limia or Limia tridens. It's quite a nice looking little Limia species. They have a really nice yellow patch on their throat area, and I think they'd make a great live bearer to add to my collection. Corydoras equus. I've almost purchased these last, or about 2 or 3 weeks ago at the Calgary Aquarium Society auction, but I got outbid. There are Corydoras that I will eventually have. Just kind of waiting for the right price on them, I guess. But just a striking species. These ones were in absolutely fantastic shape. They have such a distinctive patterning compared to other Corydoras. Really neat orange patch behind their eye. Melon barbs, another species that I want. These ones are young, so they're not showing their full colors, but they were in great shape too, and one that I'll get down the road. They had Ultim Angels, which aren't always available, but when they are, they're never cheap. A great addition to if you have a larger tank. Um, they are definitely a high-end angelfish, but with that comes all the beauty. So definitely a species that are much sought after. Some African butterflies, uh, they were big, so I had to get some video of them. And one of my favorite cichlids, the Bolivian ram, just a gorgeous fish that is super hardy, not quite as pretty as a German blue ram, but a lot more hardy and long lived. Corydoras cystatus, they had lots of these guys here, kind of getting into some more common fish, but a lot of the fish that they had were in really good shape. So anytime I seen a tank that where there wasn't people around, I got a bit of video. Corydoras swartzi, looking nice and black. These guys, they were in super good shape as well. I was pretty impressed with them. They're pretty jet black, those guys. I was tempted but unable to purchase. The Ember Tetra, these guys had nice red color, which you got to watch out for when you're purchasing Ember Tetras. If they're really faded, you could just get a kind of a non-colored strain, and they can always be bland. But they had a lot of the common fish as well. There was hundreds of tanks there, so I just took video of fish that I found to be striking. Once I got past the super unique ones, these are green Moscow guppies. They had a lot of guppies there. These are pink magenta guppies, and you can't see the magenta and pink very well in the video. You can just see glimpses of it, but these guys in person were really gorgeous. Quite a nice strain of guppy. They also had some koi guppies there. This one male in the front has got quite the red face. I really like that guy. I would have picked him out of the crowd, but I couldn't bring him back. This is Hemilorcaria benai, a more unusual fish, but really neat. They've got quite the long frills on their tails. Of course, they have some of the more common ones like hillstream loaches. This guy was good for videoing. He just laid there and did nothing, which is awesome. And then they had some koi angelfish. So they had a number of different types of angelfish there. I didn't get all of them, that's for sure. I hardly got any of the fish. This is L169 pleco, really striking. And this is the golden-eye dwarf cichlid. One of the first dwarf cichlids that I kept, and it did really well and bred for me. It was super hardy, really gorgeous when they grow up. These guys are pretty young yet, so they're not showing their full colors, but a really pretty fish when they get into their adult color forms. But this guy here, Nanochromis transvestis, is a fish that I couldn't afford when I was a little kid. They were hiding mostly, but they're quite a striking little dwarf cichlid that does pretty well. Of course, they had some tiger barbs. These guys had good light around them, so I got a bit of a video of them. And rhombus barbs too. If you want something a little more different, the one male has really striking red fins. One of my very favorite fish that I seen there was Sundadanio axelrodi. I've actually got these fish from the same wholesaler, and mine have been doing absolutely fantastic. They just really light up my nano tank. They're super oblivious to people being around, so they're not all spooky and shy. A really nice addition to my tank. They also had some Thai micro crabs. I asked them how they were doing, and they said fantastic. So um, something worth trying out. But you need a tank where you can actually see them. They'd be lost in my tanks. One of the common fish that I was really impressed with that was here were the gold rams. They were beefy. And often you see rams come in and they're smaller, skinnier, but these guys had shoulders on them. And they were displaying all the time. Apparently, they've been flying off the shelves. Anybody who's a bit of a fish aficionado has been scooping them up because these ones are really nice. Another one that was not for sale, had already been purchased, was a little placat betta. They were in pretty decent sized tanks. One of the cool things about this store is you can sit and watch a number of display tanks. I sat and watched before I gave my presentation on Corydoras geryi and checked out this whiptail catfish. But they had so many display tanks at this store. It was awesome to just check them out, see what you can do with an aquarium and be inspired. Apparently, a number of their aquariums have been done by their customers that shop there. You can see this one here was one of their more display ones, not done by a customer. It was near the front of the store, but a really nice display with some Rasboras and a lot of dragonstone in their displays. You can see some Hygrophila pinnafatata in this one. And they also have some cichlid displays. This one didn't have any plants in it, so just a hardscape display. And it looks pretty good. I like the concept for that. They had a number of their tanks. Their display tanks were on CO2. You can see a bit of the bubbles coming through here in this one. But so you get some lush growth with it. So got them set up pretty nice. They had another one on the counter here with some tiger endlers in it and some orange shrimp, and it was looking pretty cool. And this one was kind of to the side of the counter, and I like the way they had it designed with kind of a valley in the middle. I got some green neon rasboras and some ember tetras in there. And then along the side of their store, they had some blue eye setups, or actually these aren't blue eyes, they're threadfin rainbows, but the other tanks are blue eyes. This one has got Pseudomagil gertrudii, and then they had apistogrammas in each one of these tanks, but I could never find them. Got some Pacific blue eyes here, and a pistogramma that you can barely see in the cave there. This one had luminatus blue eyes, and I don't know where they were when I filmed this, but they were not in the frame. Then they have some other larger display tanks, and a number of tanks that were created by their customers, and they turned out really good. Some of them were kids that put these together. They just let whoever was there build themselves a tank, go around the store and grab whatever hardscape and plants they wanted and build a tank. So they turned out pretty cool. This is one of their bigger displays, though, with the rummy noses, the Blairi rummy noses. This one also had that whiptail catfish in it, and it looks like maybe a little Altum angel. One of the customers had put together this display with a little cave in front. I really like that idea. And we got some black harlequins in this one here. But they did a pretty awesome job for, and a couple of them were, it was the first time they'd ever put together an aquarium. And this one here with green neons looks great. You can never go wrong with a big wad of Java fern in the middle. It always looks good. This one here also looks great. Kind of an interesting hardscape to it. I like the use of Anubias. And they've got their pea puffer here in one of the customer displays. He's a pretty nice male. I would have liked to take him home too to add to my pea puffer collection. They have some pretty big displays in the back. And this one I watched for a long time. These celestial pearl danios in it. We're going around in circles around the rocks, and of course I couldn't get any good video. As soon as I get close with the camera, they would just kind of spread and do their own thing. But they were going in a school around the rocks. They also have a river display with Congo tetras and some rainbows in it, and the water was moving right along. Looks pretty cool. I like the way that the Val is waving in it. It was another tank that I could spend some time watching while I was waiting to do my presentation. And this is another display that they had at the back there. And then, of course, the store, they've got all kinds of plants to purchase. You can see some Hygrophila polysperma there. And they had lots of swords, lots of potted plants. One of my favorite plants that they had here on the right is Lagonandra maboldi. If you don't own this one, you should. It's gorgeous. And they had lots of pots as well for sale. There was a lot of store items that I didn't show, but you have to show the aquarium co-op stuff, especially the Easy Green. They sell a lot of that. They're the licensed distributor for Aquarium Co-op here in Canada, and they have a lot of Aquarium Co-op stuff and a lot of other dry goods as well. These are my Corydoras geryi, which is the reason I came down here to do my talk on them. And Darrin purchased them at the King of DIY auction. And the proceeds of that went to both the clubs so he can bring in speakers. And this is the setup that he's going to house the geryi in. Once it's cycled, I think that will do fantastic. They will do fantastic in there. Hopefully I'll be able to get them breeding and spread that species around. As for my talk, it went awesome, and I had a great time there while I was at April's Aquarium, and I really appreciate them having me out there to give the talk and letting me check out their fish store. Happy fish keeping!